Hello children of class 8. How are you all doing? Hope you're doing good and staying at home, staying indoors and staying safe. Today I am going to read you the lesson from the New Gems textbook, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. This is a detective story. It is based on adventure and imagination. It is written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And it's a great story to read when you want to become a detective yourself. Conan Doyle's great creations like Sherlock Holmes' many detective stories have been liked by people a lot, and it's apt in today's world also. So, Sherlock Holmes is a detective. He has an assistant named Dr. John Watson. He is his beloved assistant and so-called, he never calls him an assistant in a way, but he always says that Watson is his close friend. So Doyle has written the story in a narrative form, which is being narrated by Dr. John Watson, by Dr. Watson. So what is the name of the story is The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. A carbuncle is a precious stone. It is a diamond. So what happens? What exactly happened to it? We will read and find out now. I will read you the text and explain to you in detail, and then you will be able to understand the lesson very clearly. So the text goes here. The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. The following extract is adapted from a Sherlock Holmes mystery by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The detective's famous approach that uses logic and deduction comes into play when he tries to solve the crime. So this is the original text. I called on my friend Sherlock Holmes on the second morning after Christmas. He was sitting on the sofa in a brown dressing gown, holding a pipe with a pile of crumpled morning papers at hand. Beside the couch was a wooden chair. On the back of the chair hung a dirty, worn, hard felt hat. A lens and forceps lay upon the seat of the chair. Obviously, Holmes had hung the hat over the chair in order to examine it. Perhaps I interrupt you, I said. Not at all. I am glad to have a friend with whom I can discuss my results, said Sherlock. This is the starting scene. And it takes place in Sherlock Holmes' living room, where the clear description given by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is he is sitting in his living room in his usual brown dressing gown and holding a pipe as usual as a detective, and crumpled morning papers lying at hand. And beside the couch there was a wooden chair. A couch is a sofa. There was a wooden chair beside the sofa. On the back of the chair hung a dirty, worn, hard felt hat. See the clear description. The description is dirty, worn, hard felt hat. So it was dirty, it was worn. Worn means it was used. And it was hard, and it was felt hat. Felt hat means felt is a kind of a soft material. A lens and forceps lay upon the seat of the chair. Obviously, Holmes had hung the hat over the chair in order to examine it. So, what is a lens? A lens is a magnifying glass, and forceps is also known as scissors here. So, it lay there. These two things lay there. These were his tools to observe the hat which was hanging on the chair. So, Holmes had already come to some conclusions based on seeing the hat, and now whose hat was it, what was the hat doing there, how did the hat come there, all will be dealt in detail. At the right hand of the text you can see the picture of Arthur Conan Doyle, and he was born in Edinburgh, Scotland. He was a novelist and writer of detective and science fiction. His famous detective Sherlock Holmes and his friend Dr. Watson are immortal characters. Some of his works are A Study in Scarlet, The Sign of Four, and The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes and the Hound of the Baskervilles. The Hound of Baskervilles is a great novel. I hope if you have time you can read it as well. So coming back to the lesson, what happens here is, this is the entry scene, and Watson has just walked in and he says that, am I disturbing you? Did I interrupt you? So Sherlock Holmes says that, no, not at all. Perhaps I interrupt you, I said. Not at all. I am glad to have a friend with whom I can discuss my result, said Sherlock. The matter is an ordinary one, he continued, but there are some points of interest in it. I seated myself in his armchair and warmed my hands before his crackling fire. What is the crackling fire? That is a sharp sound of the fire. So when Watson walks in, as told, Holmes has already come to some conclusions based on the description of the hat given to us. So what are those conclusions? He just wants to confirm with Watson what he wants to conclude, or whatever his point of view is, so that they both can come to a particular conclusion. So he says, although it looks very ordinary, a deadly story or crime must be linked to it, I guess. So Watson tells us that probably it's a hat. We never know whose it is, why it was there, and Watson is telling us that probably it was linked to a deadly story or a crime, because the hat was found. There are n number of situations what we can imagine why the hat was there, how come it is there, right? So, no crime, laughed Sherlock Holmes. Let me tell you how the hat came here. It was 4 o'clock on Christmas morning, and Peterson, the commissioner, was walking home. A tallish man carrying a fat goose was walking ahead of him on the road. As he reached the end of the street, a little knot of rough men attacked the man with the goose. Now what you need to understand here is, do not get confused. First of all, the story is being narrated by Watson, correct? So now in the story, Sherlock Holmes is telling to Watson that the commissioner met him and told him the so-called details which was read just now. What was the detail? It was 4 o'clock on Christmas morning, and Peterson, the commissioner, was walking home. Yes, Peterson, he is a commissioner. On Christmas morning at 4 a.m., God knows why he was on the street, but then that is the story. The commissioner, Peterson, was walking home. Who is a commissioner? A commissioner is a uniformed door attendant. Okay, so he was walking, and in front of him, a tallish man. A tall man was walking in front of him and carrying in his arms a fat goose. Now, how did that goose come into the picture? Probably because it was Christmas, the man must have bought the fat goose and he wanted to take it to his home, give it to his wife, so that his wife could cook him a delicious meal. Correct? On Christmas or any festival as of sort, we have a sumptuous meal. So, that must have been on the mind of the tall man. But what happens? As he reached the end of the street, a little knot of rough men. So this knot is K-N-O-T. It is a group of people standing close to one another. That means a knot of people were standing there and they attacked the man with the goose. Now why did the people attack the man with the goose? Yeah, they attacked him. One of the hoodlums knocked off the tall man's hat as he aimed a blow at him. The tall man raised his stick to defend himself. So, hoodlums means a criminal. He is a part of the gang. He is a gangster. So, one of the hoodlums knocked off the tall man's hat as he aimed a blow at him. So, one of them, he wanted to blow at him. That means he punched him. And in the process of doing so, the hat fell down. So now we have come to a conclusion that this hat belonged to the tall guy who was manhandled on the street, on Christmas morning at 4 a.m. According to who? According to Peterson, the commissioner. Now the story will unfold in detail, and I'm sure you're very intrigued and you're very, very, very attached to the story now. We will read the next part of the story in the coming video, but till then, you can please go through the video, pause whenever you want to, and you can have a look at the text in detail and make notes for yourself. There is an assignment coming out tomorrow, so please be ready for your answers, because you need to answer the assignment questions. That's all for today, children. Have a good day and stay safe. Thank you.